feel the hype. Yes, we are breaking the hour barrier now, but I would be remiss if I didn't at least quick go over a great idea that Mike Gilz had. So we'll only hit this for a few minutes and then we'll bid adieu. So we'll just be a few minutes over. But Mike Gilz had a great idea. Obviously, the UFC probably won't do it, but that doesn't mean it's not a good idea. Is a lightweight title tournament. So if you will give your brief breakdown and how you have it set up, and then me and Real Michael just hop in if we have a few disagreements, and then we'll bid adieu for the night.
Okay, I'm going to give you the 3 fights involved in my tournament. It's a 6-man tournament that doesn't exactly make a whole lot of sense. We'll get to that in a second. My ideal scenario for this, in the first fight, Dustin Poirier versus Nate Diaz. Before you throw things at your screen, I understand Nate Diaz does not deserve this. He doesn't deserve to be in the title conversation. I don't care. I like fun. I'm a fan of fun, and I love fun. So you put Nate Diaz in that fight. Dustin Poirier deserves another big money fight. You make that fight for the belt. Dustin Poirier gets it. Boom, right away. Next fight, Michael Chandler versus Charlie Oliveira. Charlie Olives, I'm going to say. You know why you do this? Because they're the 2 least known to the casual fans, and they're both really dangerous contenders to the higher value guys in the company, like Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, Nate Diaz, whoever ends up winning those fights. So you make those 2 fight, they knock off each other, and the one who wins that fight all of a sudden becomes the more popular guy. In the last fight, call this the consolation, automatic #1 contender fight, if you will, Justin Gaethje versus Conor McGregor. Now, I don't even really need to sell that fight. Every single fight fan wants to see it. It's the most fun fight out of all of these put together. I want to see that fight more than the Dustin or the Nate trilogy for Conor. That fight is just perfect altogether. So you make right off the bat Dustin Poirier champion. You basically give him a layup for this one because he's earned it. He really has. So he's the champion. Then you basically have 2 #1 contender fights, but I don't really know where you go with that one. If you don't want to make the first one for the title, we can play with this a little bit. But those are the 3 fights. Poirier, Diaz, Chandler, Oliveira, Gaethje, Conor. What do you guys think?
Real Mike, got any changes on that one? So
I'd have to think about it a little bit more, but I love the tournament idea. But I know the UFC isn't the type to do that because it puts their chess piece ahead of the game before it, so people could see it. So they don't want to do that.
No, I'd support the tournament. I think really the only 2 issues I have of it is one is the Conor McGregor matchup. Not because I don't want to see that fight. I absolutely want to see that fight. But I think since the most recent fight, there was such an issue with the calf kick.
Right.
If you're worried about those calf kicks, Gaethje will break your leg. He will just straight snap that thing. So it'd be like you should absolutely say no to that if you're Conor McGregor's camp. I mean, Gaethje all day, you probably want that camp. Eventually, they might hit eventually, but like at least one fight buffer in there for him to learn how to take them appropriately. I mean, Tippy had a good point in there. He says at SBG Ireland, they only do those kicks with shin pads. So they're not used to actually taking it in the meat of the leg. And then in terms of everything else, I mean, it's been on the show before. I am an absolutely ball out Do Bronx Mark. He is my guy. I think he has improved so much, and I think he has a path to victory against anybody. So as long as my man doesn't get screwed, I'm at peace, man. As long as that happens, I am good. As long as he's in this tournament, if you actually are doing a tournament, I'm for it. So he could eventually hit the title. If we're not doing a tournament, I want him to fight for the title. So anything that gets my man in there, I'm pro.
Well, let me just jump into that real quick before Real Mike goes. The reason that I put Gaethje versus Conor and not against Poirier or Diaz in this scenario is because I think those fights are going to be there regardless. If Conor wins this fight, then he goes back for the title, and then that's one of the trilogy fights, and then he can do the other one on top of that. If he doesn't win the fight, he still has those trilogy fights regardless with built-in storylines. So, I mean, it's kind of win-win for everybody. That's why I staggered it that way to keep Conor away from those 2.
No, I could definitely get that. I'm pro. Like I said, the tournament should be awesome. Hey, hello, King Rodman there from Detroit, hopping in. Thank you to the only a few shy of 500 people watching here live. So, yes, pro tournament, a little bit questionable if the matchup could ever happen between Gaethje and Conor and Do Bronx Nation. Let's go.